Hey everybody, it is Mr. Ensminger, and it is time for another Visual Basic video. This week, I'm going to be talking about picture boxes, one of my favorite tools in the Visual Basic toolbox. So I have a little project here called Picture Boxes, Desktop, Solution, Checkbox, Create. So PictureBox is going to be your primary way of displaying pictures, images on your Visual Basic forms. So before we get into that, let me set up my toolbox, as we typically do, and I'll also get all my other stuff all set up here. So here in my properties, I'm going to go and I'm going to change the text. I'll change the text to PictureBox in the top left corner. Just because I can, I'm going to change the background color to, let's say, dark red. That looks decent. Okay, so now that we have all that taken care of, let me go over and first make a picture box. So if I come over here, as always, there's two ways I can do it. I can either single click, which brings me up a picture box tool. You can see my cursor there, my mouse. I click and drag, it lets me create a picture box. The other way I could do it is just like buttons, you could just double click picture box and just automatically generates that picture box. Now, as always, when you create a tool, when it highlights it, you have the little grab tabs around it, highlighted, selected, whatever. In your properties, of course we're under alphabetical here, the picture box properties are different than the form properties because the picture box obviously is a different tool, so it has different ways to describe it. So let's just go on down through some things here. First, notice that there's background image and also image. That's going to become important for us here in a minute. So notice that there are two different ones. Okay. I'm also going to bring you down to size, which is, of course, something that is in every single of our tools for the most part. Width and height. This rectangle is measured by its width and its height, and also the location, X and Y, which we also know as the left and the top. So we have location, size, and then there's also size mode. And if you notice down at the bottom, I'm not sure I've ever pointed this out before, but in case you haven't seen it, size mode controls how the picture box will handle image placement and control sizing. So it gives you like a little bit of a help file type thing down at the bottom. Of course, you have to understand how to interpret it. Right now it's normal. Your different options are stretch, auto size, center image, and zoom. And I'll also bring you up to background image layout underneath background image. And you see here it's none, tile, center, stretch, zoom. So it's very similar to what you had down there at the bottom for your size mode. I'm also going to point out that there is a visible property. Right now it's set to true. So those are the things we will discuss when doing this tool. I'm also now going to bring you up to the top left corner of the picture box. You see how there's a little arrow right above my cursor, right there. There's a little arrow. It's like a little arrow pointing to the right. If you click this, some of the tools that you're going to use have little shortcuts. The two most important properties of your picture box are going to be the image and then also the size mode. So let me first, before we get into that, let me tell you the difference between the two. So background image and image. You're going to want almost exclusively, I believe, image. Image is going to be the image on your form. The background would be the background behind the image. So let me just quickly show you an example, and then I will get rid of it so we can actually do what we're trying to do here. So let's say I go to image, I go over here, and I'm going to go to import. That brings up my, sorry, I kind of ran through that really quickly. That brings up the select resource. So always just hit import here. I'm in my resources folder, so let me go to resources, sample graphics. I'm going to go to video game sprites, and I'm going to put on, let's say ring. Ring's an animated file, so I'm going to hit open. I'm going to hit OK, and now my ring is in the top left corner. Now, Just real quick, see how it's not animated, right? If I run the program, one moment please. If you run the program, it is animated. So I believe I mentioned this before, but animated files only show up when you're running. It won't animate right now. So it would take up some system resources unnecessarily. So going back to the whole image versus background image thing, you see, like, that's an image, right? It's in the top left corner because that's the current size of the thing. The size mode, right now it's normal, so it means no matter how big the box is, the picture will be as big as the picture is. If I start changing some of those things, like stretch image, the image will now resize to be whatever image size I have. So I adjust the box, I adjust the image. A lot of times you're going to want that. The other ones on here, you have auto size. The box will shrink wrap around the image size. The size of the coin in this case, the size of the ring. Then there's also center image, which is exactly what you believe it is. The image will stay the same size, but it'll be in the center of the picture. And then finally, zoom. You can see what zoom does. Zoom will adjust bigger or smaller with stretch, but the box can also be larger as well. You very rarely are going to use zoom or center. You'll probably want to do most often stretch or auto size. I'm going to do stretch for the time being. Okay. So that's the image and the size mode. Both of those I can actually access in this little drop down in the top right corner. I can go choose image and it lets me pick the image, and then I can also open this up and go stretch image size mode. So this is a little shortcut there. You don't ever have to use it. You can use the properties, but it's there if you want to. Now let's quickly talk about the background image. Right now there's none. Let me go to background image. Let me import. I'll go to the sample graphics, the backgrounds. I'll go to just one of these. I'll go to that one. Okay, that's the difference between image and background image. It's exactly intuitive the way you would believe it is. The background image is in the background of the image, right? And if I expand this, the image will still be above that background image. Now the thing is, the reason we don't use that background image very often is, for something like this. Why would you want a form that has the color red and then just underneath this is an image? Like, you probably want the background image on your entire form, which we've seen. You can do that. You can, all these other options here, you can say none, center. I mean, I don't know why you would do these, but you could if you wanted to. So you have options. Okay. But like I said, most often you're probably going to want to do a background of the entire form, not just one little picture. But it is there as an option. But 99% of the time you're going to want to do image and size mode, not background image and background style. Now, let's say we want to get rid of that image. We don't want that little green tile. The way you delete an image from your picture box, you go over to where you have background image, like my cursor's right on top of it, hit delete, and it just goes away. So that is how you deal with background images in your program. Something else to show you with picture boxes is how the computer handles when they overlap. So in order for me to do this, I need another picture box. Let me load one up, and I will choose image here, top left corner. Let me import. If I go back to sample graphics, let me pick an animated one now. Let me pick this little kitty cat. Why not, right? Okay. Now, if I go to size mode, which again, I can go to the properties, or I can just go over here at the top left corner, top right corner, stretch image. Now let me take that, expand upon it. You see how the kitty cat goes over top of the ring. So that you can think of the images, and not just the images, but all the tools in Visual Basic, you can think of them like construction paper on a project. When you glue one down and you glue one on top of it, it covers the one underneath. It's not like they're transparent. They are, opaque pieces of paper that you're covering one up and the next. If you right-click on something, you see how there's options for bring to front, send to back. That's how you dictate the order of your pictures. If I send the kitty cat to the back, now the ring is on top. If you right-click and send the ring to the back, now vice versa. Obviously, there has to be some sort of order to it, but you can dictate that order by going send to back, bring to front. You can also do that in code. You can say, like right now we have picture box 1 and picture box 2. If you want to do that, you simply say picture box 1 dot send to back or picture box 1 dot bring to front. It's pretty easy. The other thing I'm going to point out is going to be one of the things that might trouble you the most, and it has nothing to do with Visual Basic. It has to do with image transparency. So you see how the background color of, like right here, I'm on the ring. Okay, so here's the ring. You see how my background color, it says dark red. If I change that color to something else, it would say black. It turns black. If I change the color of the kitty cat to, let's say I do that as something really contrasting, dark orange. See how with this rectangle, I can't see the ring underneath. Like it's like a box, looks like that. I don't have any sort of transparency on my boxes. Everything in Visual Basic is a rectangle or a square, and so if I go back to the background color of this image, the very first option is transparent. Well, look at what it made transparent. See how I'm doing this on purpose? You can't see the ring underneath the cat. It's because when you make something transparent, it's not true transparency. What it did is it made it transparent to see through to the form, not the stuff below it. Let me prove it to you. I'm going to go to the Forms properties. I'm going to go to background image. Import, and then let me pick a background, Sample Graphics, back. That'll be good. Okay. You see what I'm talking about? When you make the background of the cat transparent, you see all the way through to the form, not the thing underneath. So if you have a couple different picture boxes, the transparency, it cuts through to what's underneath all the pictures. So it's a limitation of transparency. The other limitation of transparency is not all files can be made transparent. I'm looking at these two. Those two happen to be transparent backgrounds. That's great. You want that. But that being said, open this up here quick. If I go back to Sample Graphics, you see how, and I'm not talking about the images, I'm talking about the backgrounds. You see how some of them are white backgrounds, but then like this little devil thinger, that's yellow. And then go to the one over here. Now you like see how that is a black background. That's a black background. This one has like the ocean background. This one has an ocean background. You can't make some of those transparent. Let's say I want to get rid of the kitty cat. I'll go over to Image, change that to, if I import Sample Graphics, animated, go down to this little dolphin thinger. Okay, so I can't make that transparent. Like it already is. See, it's transparent. Well, there's nothing to make transparent there. So we'll talk in the future about transparent graphics. It is a little bit fussy to work with. There are websites out there that you can upload a graphic to, and it'll do its best to make it transparent, but it's not always 100% foolproof. And in this case, it's not even feasible. So I just want you to keep that in mind. The next thing, let me put in Well, actually, let me get rid of that because I only need the one image. I only wanted to show you that for the overlapping. So now that I'm back to this, I have a ring. I've got the size mode stretched. Let's talk about code a little bit. So if I double click the picture, it takes me into the code for picture box. Oops. Picture box one click. Okay, so this is what happens when you click the picture box. Well, I mean, really, it's not that different from a button. You can just say, like, message box, whatever, do something. If you want the picture to load something else, do you want the picture to go away, you can do that too. I could say if I want to, picture box one dot image equals, and if I want to delete the picture that's there, there's actually a keyword for that. You can just say nothing. Picture box one image equals nothing. And what happens then, and click, there it goes. Never be seen again. As you saw in last week's video, let me do drop downs here. Picture box one. There's all kinds of different. I think my screencast is messing with that. There it goes. Excuse me. There's all kinds of actions with this. I mean, there's click. There's also a lot of the ones that are on button. There's key up, key down, mouse move, and so on and so forth. So just keep some of those actions in mind. You don't always have to click on stuff. And a lot of our projects we do this year, you don't have to. The other thing you can do, we have, this unloads the image. You also could turn a picture box visible or invisible, not just from the picture box, but from a button or something else. So, for example, let me make a button. Put a little button over here. Okay, let's go down to my text. Click here to toggle picture. Toggle is like a light switch. You're going back and forth. So I'm essentially making a little light switch that you can. Swear my screencast stuff's in the way. You can switch this back and forth with its invisible or visible property. So let me go into the code for the button, and this is what you'd say. If picture box one dot visible equals true, then. So if it's visible, what are you going to do with it? You're going to make it invisible. Picture box one visible equals false. Else. So if it's visible, make it invisible. Otherwise, make it visible. Turn it on and off. So let's run that. And watch this. Visible or invisible, visible, visible, can't talk today. There we go. So there's lots of different things we can do with these picture boxes. There's the visible property. You also have the image property. I'll show you later how you can load images into an image box, a picture box. It's from the resources. So that's all for now. The next video from this week is going to show you a little game project, a little slot machine type thing you can do with picture boxes. So until then, take care.